I saw a few couples. They were dancing actually together, you know, 6 or 8 people. And the girls were very, very voluptuous and very game. You know, they have a good time.
Makes for a great photograph.
Photography as a medium is amazing because you can take something mundane, you can take something horrible, and if the light is right, and if the composition is right, you can make something absolutely beautiful out of it that people want to look at. I remember taking the picture and having the camera in front of my face, and I was able to line it up and compose, and the minute I put my camera down, I was in the scene and I started crying. And that was my intro.
The rest is history, yeah?
Yeah.
I've had the rare opportunity to meet many amazing photographers who move through the different landscapes to create powerful images. I'm always inspired by how these images transform the way we see people and understand the world. A great photograph needs no explanation, but on Capture, these incredible people tell the story of creating their most memorable images. I'm Mark Seliger, and this is Capture. Welcome to Capture. I'm Mark Seliger, and I'm sitting today with Misha Baryshnikov. Indisputably one of the greatest dancers of all times, an actor, an author, and a photographer. Also founded the Baryshnikov Art Center. And Ben Lowy, the award-winning photojournalist and award-winning author. Welcome, guys, to Capture. Ben, we wanted to take a little look. Your first book, Iraq Perspectives, won a Huntington Award. It was about your journey in Iraq, which you shot behind the glass of a Humvee.
I was trying to figure out how I could tell a story about Iraq in a different way, how I could get past people's apathy, their perceptions, their want to ignore this war. And I thought the aesthetic is what I really need to concentrate on. I need to create like a narrative.
And by having that frame of where you were, it showed this isolation, this protective quality, yet you were going through day-to-day life that these people were living, and which was very unprotected.
The way I wanted to present Iraq was not with an agenda, was not with this is how it is from my perspective as a New Yorker, but you know, part of shooting through this window is these are how American soldiers see Iraq.
Right. That's the great point.
And I think it's really important to be able to represent the sacrifices that everyone's made.
Misha, you grew up in Riga, Latvia. Did you have any interest in photography?
Latvians were extremely nationalistic and very much open to everything Western. And there were quite a few very capable photographers.
Which is interesting because you've been photographed for the last 4 decades and you've taken the other side. There's a picture that you did of Mr. Avedon.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. And I spent a day with Dick. We've been working throughout 35 years. And I brought my camera, little Nikon, and I said, well, Mr. Avedon, that's now my turn to photograph you. We had a few hours to kill.
He set it up for you, right?
He set it up. Right,
you were like the assistant to his self-portrait.
Absolutely.
It's interesting to have both of you here because, you know, I think that you each take a very non-traditional way of photographing and the techniques that you use. You've made the hipstomatic into a paintbrush for photography. Do you pack more than one iPhone?
Now I do. The art world has its own kind of issues, where if something's available for the masses, it's not really art, it's not good enough.
The best equipment, in my view, for my kind of work, I looked for mistakes in this industry. And the cheaper camera, in a way, the simpler camera, it's easier to work, in my view.
This book here is a book that you collaborated on, or you were given access to the Merce Cunningham.
I would say collaborated,
Yeah.
you know, and I asked his permission to be a fly on the wall, sort of during his rehearsals. And that was the result of our collaboration. And he selected the images himself, together, you know.
He edited with you?
Yes.
You co-edited?
Yes.
Okay. It's a great book. It's a beautiful
Thank
book.
you.
This is earlier, right, than your Merce work.
Yes,
So,
of course.
So this was done in a place that I know you like to hang out and spend time when you're not in New York,
In
which is
DR, Dominican Republic.
the Dominican
yes.
Republic. And
That's the place which I start to experiment with digital photography, but not to, by just a chance, attending some dance parties, because Dominicans, you know, party everywhere, you know, give them, you know, a president.
that was a great party.
You know, yes, that was a lovely party.
But I mean, look at this. Look how great this looks. This is a.
That's my
this is-
blue period.
This is blue card, of course. But this is merengue, right? This is focused on people
Yes,
that are
it's
dancers.
a song, actually. It's all Cuban place in outskirts of Santo Domingo. You know, Dominicans are such a happy people, and it's a hard life. They're very hard-working people. But the minute they hear music and you open a couple of bottles of Presidente beer, they're dancing, man, and how they're dancing.
Let me ask you a question. You ever get intimidated when you go to a place like the DR and, you know, they ask you to come dance with them?
Last year in Argentina, a woman asked me to dance, and I cannot dance tango to save my miserable life. I went on my knees and said, please do not, because I don't want to offend anybody, you know? And all dance hall looking at me.
You just have two left feet when it comes to tango, huh?
No, you have to learn it. You know, I guess if I will spend a couple of years, you know.
Yeah, I bet I could count on him learning how to do it pretty well, right?
I'd love to see that, actually.
I wanted my photography just to give that hot air around those people.
I would definitely feel the movement, how everyone's like spinning around. You obviously, with your work, you have strong feelings towards dance. You have strong feelings towards what you're going to see, whereas I'm trying to be, in a way, detached, where I can just tell it like it is.
This picture, you know, really stuck out to me. It was, that's just a very esoteric photograph, but yet you know there's something terrible happening.
Well, that picture is really responsible for kind of pushing my aesthetic in a different direction. Like
How so?
from when I took that picture and all the response that I got to it over the years, I realized that creating like an aesthetic which creates mystery, which is beautiful enough to capture the audience's attention, where you stymie someone, the person looking at the image, and because they've been stopped, what's going on? They're asking themselves, and they take a step closer to the content.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was a little tipsy, and I was driving in a car to a party. It was I think the day the war ended. And I was going across the bridge over the Tigris River in Baghdad. It was a really hot day. It was probably about 120. And he was jumping. This man had climbed up the lamppost and was literally jumping into the Tigris River to cool off, to go for a swim. So there's nothing actually
Wow. Okay.
horrible about it. It's actually, he was just going swimming. But I managed to capture that.
A Baghdad diving board.
A Baghdad diving board. I don't know why I call this picture the blue man, even though he's actually not blue, he's a silhouette. But I was on assignment for Time Magazine in Las Vegas. So I ended up in the Palms Hotel. And I take a step back and there's a tattoo artist in the actual hotel. And we just started talking. He's like, dude, I got 15 minutes. You wanna get a tattoo? I was like, and this is, okay, I've done like five-hour energy drinks right now, and I'm just drinking Diet Coke. And it's like,
Not a great time to make a
not a
decision
great,
like a
you know, that's
tattoo.
gonna last on me forever. I was like, yeah, let's do something. And what can I do in 15 minutes? And he was looking through my website, and that picture came up. I was like, okay, let's do that. And we just threw it on my arm.
Knowing your background, I thought that under the cement was exploded, and I mean, it was a bomb or something, and it threw him up. And you know, instead of you telling it was a jump down, but I thought it was.
This picture is one that we kept on coming back from the Night Goggle series. Obviously, this is not a happy ending.
No. This is at the beginning of the Sunni awakening, where they were getting a lot of Sunni informants who didn't want Al-Qaeda in Iraq in their towns. And to be honest, this is me personally speaking, I think they were just picking out people they didn't like. They just walked into this mechanic shop, and this guy was just sleeping, and they just woke him up and arrested him. And something like this, especially in the dark, they can't see me half the time. I don't even know if they knew specifically that I was standing right there to take that picture. Most of the time you go out in operations where you use night vision, it's something called zero illums, where there's no stars, there's cloud cover, there's no moon. I would have actually one night vision goggle that I would look through to walk, and then one on front of my camera. Well, what's interesting about being with the American military is, like, you know, American military doctrine is like overwhelming firepower. If one guy fires at you, 50 Americans will fire at him with everything. The whole idea is, like, our soldiers' lives are worth so much, and ammunition is not really worth anything. So let's use as much of it up as possible. And so it's you never want to be on the other side of that, the way American soldiers fight. Going into any situation that I'm putting myself in, I'm aware that that is part of my job. My burden is to look beyond what I'm photographing and try and make something beautiful out of it, even though that might be contradictory to the situation I find myself in, namely, you know, war.
You were telling us that your wife doesn't want you to go to war anymore.
You know, my wife went into labor with our second child about an hour after Tim Hetherington's memorial. I think it hurt my wife, and it really bothered her, and you know, and I've been open about this before. When Tripoli was falling, I really wanted to go back to Libya for a little bit of closure. I promised my wife, I said, okay, I'm just gonna shoot around the violence. I'm not really gonna go to the front lines. And I ended up sharing a car with two of the greatest war photographers of this generation, Yuri Kozarov and Ron Haviv. And Ron and I and Yuri were in this staircase, and a sniper shot down, straight down the stairs. And this rebel was running in front of me, about 5 feet away from me, and his head just exploded in front of me. I saw him fall, and then watched the cascade of his blood going down the stairs. And then Ron and I, as we photographed it, realized that we were the only people still in this building. And we ran out, and as a grenade sailed over our head. And Ron has this video of us running out, and you see this little black ball.
Amazing.
And I looked at my pictures at the end of the day of this man dying at the moment of death. About 2 or 3 weeks later, I in the middle of the night, I said, I'm gonna send this picture into my agency because my wife's not gonna see it. Because I knew already I had broken my promise. And within an hour, she had seen it. My phone bill was about $4,000 for that 2 weeks I was there, just begging my wife not to leave me, because she said it was like I cheated on her with war.
I mean, how do you prep to go to war?
logistically getting ready to you know, go shoot in war zones or difficult places is probably the most important thing that anyone can do. Best thing I ever owned was antibacterial underwear made by this company where it actually eats the bacteria in your
shorts?
Yeah, in your shorts. And because, you know, during the war, I went to Darfur in 2004. That was 6 weeks of literally the same socks. Did not change them. I mean, these are small things that obviously the people in that place don't even think about.
And we dancers change 3-4 times a day, you know.
I mean, it's like
3 showers a day, you know.
I love this photograph a lot, too.
That was a lucky shot, these 2 dancers around the opposite directions. You know, I see them move. I want them to run into my frame, you know what I mean? And it happened, and just...
It's incredible. It's as if they are one. This one here, I love this picture because at first glance, it is as abstract as you could possibly imagine, and then you kind of hone in on it and you realize he's probably
it's a hula dancers in Maui, Hawaii. Yeah, I like I like their costumes and their. I mean, because they are extraordinarily attractive women. Photographs them front, you know. But I love that something sensuality in simplicity of it.
Well, and what comes with doing performance too is that you have this sort of built-in theater, which allows you to kind of focus on what a composition is.
It's same like this one. If this was video and kept on going, you wouldn't have had the serendipity of catching all those layers and all.
That's the picture I was talking about, which I think it's like a 3-dimensional experience. Yeah, it's almost like a hologram.
Yes, it's a bit more like, because it's a depth of field, because Merce Cunningham used the stage in all depth, you know, and I was really very close, you know. And who is in focus? It's the woman who is not moving, obviously. And the faster you run, the blurrier you get. Obviously, it's simple.
It's such a low angle on that photograph that it gave everybody almost the same importance.
Because I was at the level of the stage, you know, my camera was almost on the floor.
Color is, we all see in color. And the camera sees it in a much more vibrant way than the human eye ever does.
I wanted to see how you'd respond to these, Misha, without giving too much away. Just tell me what you see.
Well, it's oil, it's spill, in my view, yes. But it's a kind of interesting that the beauty and horrific aspect of this in the same bed. But it's amazing images.
For Ben, I think this is such a departure, and this is very much about movement.
Like, you know, some of my images, I was looking for a painterly kind of aspect of it. This woman, she's a pole dancer, and I said that this is my San Sebastian, because she was kind of, you know what I mean? The only thing is missing is Ara. I mean, in the film, Just a Dance, you don't see that moment, which I think for me is the most memorable.
Yeah, it's a visceral experience, but when it happens, it's like, you know, there's that one moment that it just all came together and you were in the right place.
That's why I like the flatness of it, you know, because for me, otherwise I would just see the dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more of a tangible experience.
I think that's what's amazing about photography is that you don't know what's happening before or what's going to happen after. All you have is that one instant where you press the shutter button and it records, and you can assume so many things, and that's what sort of takes it beyond the realm of looking at a video of anything, really. And I try to think of like our memories, but like most of my memories are stills.
This is our fishbowl here that I'm going to share with you. Actually, why don't you ask the first one, Ben?
Let me ask the first one.
That's Misha one.
Are the recent changes in photography positive or negative?
I think positive. I think socio-political situation conducts development in art as art and art as a journalism. Where are your favorite places or environments to take pictures?
My favorite places?
Yeah.
Here or in general? Like,
Well, would you say if one place came to mind that you just was inspiring to you as a location?
well, I'll give it with the American slant because I'm home. But Union Station, Washington, D.C., about 11:30 in winter months is 11:30 a.m. It's amazing. Because it has these high arches at the front, and the light kind of streams in just enough, and you can create this layering effect of people moving and on flat, static backgrounds with long perspectives. And I could stand there for hours shooting street photography there. All right, what's the best way to discover new photographers today?
You know, I still like to look at credits in magazines, but also, you know, there's, you know, tons and tons of places to go on the internet. I mean, you probably see that too, like a lot of, you know, new journalists that come out.
Well, I think it's the only way my generation will be able to be discovered, because there are so few venues for us to display work now. The problem is that I think a lot, and specifically with, I think anybody who's young, who's trying to get into the business, we let people take advantage of us. So, like, you know, there are publications who have high viewership that will show the work and will pay you $25, you know? And so people trade away, say, oh, I'll take the exposure because I need it, but we undervalue ourselves, and, you know, no one gets paid. And it's a really tough kind of, you know, decision to make when you're starting your career. Do you want to get paid because this is our job, this is how we, like, you know, versus getting your work out there?
Guys, thank you so much. Misha, you're a lovely friend and amazing artist, and thank you so much for coming and doing this today.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Ben, we are humbled by your good work that you're doing, and
Amazing.
sending it out to the world, and visually, just great work, great art, and just attach night goggles to your phone.
If only.
You're good all day.
If only.
Anyway.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
It's great.
Hi, I'm Mark Seliger on the set of Capture, and with me are the great photojournalist Ben Lowy and my friend Misha Baryshnikov, actor, dancer, and a very good photographer in his own right. Make sure that you don't miss a single episode of my show by clicking the subscribe button below. And leave a comment if you'd like, and of course share with your friends.
Pharrell Williams here.
Hi, I'm Joy Bryant,
I'm Eric Ripper,
I'm Tom Colicchio.
I'm Dr. Frank Lipman, the host of On the Table,
the host of Across the Board,
Host of Artist Talk.
Host of Hooked Up.
host of the show Be Well Week, Be Well Weekend on the Reserve channel.
It's only on Reserve.
Did you know that you can follow my show on social media sites like Facebook?
Follow us on Twitter.
If you're a fan of my show, hit the like button.
All of the above.
Share me with your friends.
Treat yourself. You know, check out a new episode of my show, Hooked Up.
And if you want to leave comments, feedbacks, ideas, whatever, love to hear from you. Leave a comment.
And if you don't want to miss the show, be sure to subscribe.
The one that's like down here, or is it here? Somewhere down here.
Thanks for watching the Reserve channel.
Only on YouTube. Throw caution to the wind and ask yourself what rules.